I swear to God, I didn't know he had a girlfriend. Like, I swear to God.
I was home, I guess, last year, and I got the call for the Devil Girls, like for this new dance TV series that was going to be filmed in LA, and I literally was like, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for. This is what I want. This is what I worked for. This is it. Like, I was like, this is mine. Like, everything about it, I was like, it's mine. It's mine. It just is mine. And like, I went to the audition and I was like, nope, it's mine. And I got called for another audition. I was like, nope, it's mine. And when I got sides for an acting role. I was like, yes, it's mine.
This is Stephanie Mosley, a 30-year-old rising star whose breathtaking talent took her from the dance studios of Vancouver all the way to the bright lights of Hollywood, where she graced television screens on VH1's hit series Hit the Floor and performed alongside legends like Beyoncé, Rihanna, and Chris Brown. But on the morning of December 8, 2014, neighbors in a luxury Los Angeles apartment complex would hear her screams, followed by the thunderous crack of 10 gunshots that would silence her forever, as her husband, 34-year-old rapper Earl Hayes, decided that if he couldn't have her, nobody would. But what drove a man whose friends described as caring and non-violent to commit such an unthinkable act of violence?
I could tell they'd been up all night. They was talking, I heard the bath water running. He put it on FaceTime, he got back on the phone. I'm kind of getting choked up from this. So then, I said, why you calling me so early in the morning? How you know I'm up? He said, because I love you. And he said, there's something else you don't know. And then I was like, huh? And then he reached down and put out a gun. I said, man, what are you doing with that gun?
Before we dive into the horrifying events of that December morning, let me take you back to 2002, when a fresh-faced 18-year-old girl with dreams as big as the Pacific Ocean made a decision that would change the trajectory of her entire life forever.
I met Stephanie Mosley in 2002. She had just moved to LA. She was a part of a dance group called Best Kept Secret, and my cousin was doing her makeup, and I just thought she was the most gorgeous girl, and she didn't have any friends in LA, and she just had the dancer world. So I decided I'd take her under my wings, and at that time I was headed to college, and I decided I wanted to be a model, so we made a pact, and we decided that we were gonna figure this business out and become stars together.
Stephanie Elise Mosley was born on February 14, 1984 in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, arriving into this world on Valentine's Day as if the universe itself was acknowledging the love and light she would bring to everyone fortunate enough to cross her path. From the moment she could walk, this little girl was moving, her tiny feet finding rhythm before she could even form complete sentences. At just 2 years old, her mother enrolled her in ballet classes. Growing up in the Lower Mainland area of Vancouver, Stephanie trained rigorously at multiple prestigious studios, including Pacific Arts Ballet, Kirkwood Academy, and Dance Mode Productions, where instructor Rachel Poirier would mentor her from ages 12 to 18. Between the ages of 15 and 18, Stephanie began accumulating awards in competitive dance, her trophy shelf growing heavier with each passing year as judges recognized what everyone around her already knew. This girl was destined for something extraordinary. But Vancouver, for all its beauty and opportunity, felt too small for the dreams that burned inside Stephanie's chest. In 2002, at just 18 years old, she made the bold decision to relocate to Los Angeles, leaving behind the familiar comfort of her family and the dance community that had nurtured her talent for so many years. She joined the dance group Best Kept Secret, which served as her launching pad into the competitive and often ruthless world of professional entertainment. And let me tell you, Stephanie didn't just break into Hollywood. She absolutely conquered it with a level of grace and determination that left industry veterans shaking their heads in amazement. Her resume quickly became a who's who of entertainment royalty as she landed backup dancing gigs with Beyoncé, Janet Jackson, Usher, Mariah Carey, Rihanna, Chris Brown, Britney Spears, and Jennifer Lopez. Stephanie was sharing stages with all of them, her movements so precise and captivating that she became a sought-after performer in tours, music videos, and television specials that reached millions worldwide. Her acting career began taking shape as well, with roles in films like Catwoman in 2004, where she performed both as a dancer and stunt performer, followed by a credited part as China in Idlewild in 2006. She expanded into choreography, serving as an associate choreographer on the Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 1 in 2011, while simultaneously dancing in the film herself. Other film credits included Mirror Mirror, Sparkle, and Girl vs. Monster, each role adding another layer to her increasingly impressive portfolio. But it was television where Stephanie would find her breakthrough moment. She secured a recurring role on Hellcats from 2010 to 2011, appearing in 11 episodes, and then landed the role that would define her career, a devil girl named Areli on VH1's Hit the Floor in 2013, appearing in 14 episodes of the drama series about professional basketball cheerleaders.
Stephanie was an absolute angel. She really was. Everybody she's ever met. She's brought so many of these people into my life. She's connected so many people together. And she's just loved.
Colleagues consistently described her as professional, kind, and a huge light in any room she entered, someone whose infectious positivity and genuine warmth made her not just a talented performer, but a beloved human being that people gravitated toward naturally. Despite her rising fame and undeniable success, Stephanie maintained incredibly close ties to her Vancouver family, visiting several times a year, never allowing Hollywood's glitter to distance her from the people who had supported her journey from the very beginning. But behind the glamorous facade of red carpets and television appearances, Stephanie's personal life was becoming increasingly complicated and fraught with tension. Somewhere along her journey in the entertainment industry, she had met a Detroit-born rapper named Earl Hayes, and their connection seemed, at least on the surface, like a perfect Hollywood love story. Two ambitious artists supporting each other's dreams while navigating the challenges of an industry that could be as cruel as it was rewarding and unforgiving. Earl Warren Hayes was born on May 28, 1980 in Detroit, Michigan, growing up in a city known for its gritty, authentic rap influences that would later shape his lyrical style and artistic approach to music. Like Stephanie, Earl had dreams that extended far beyond the boundaries of his hometown, and somewhere in the early 2000s, he made his own pilgrimage to Los Angeles, chasing opportunities in music and acting that Detroit simply could not provide. Earl's career gained significant momentum through his strategic alliance with undefeated boxing champion Floyd Mayweather Jr. By around 2010, he had signed with Mayweather's Filthy Rich Records, a label established to promote emerging talent and managed by James McNair, who was known as P. Rila, who was a key figure in Mayweather's extensive business ventures. This affiliation placed Earl within the Money Team entourage, that exclusive group of associates who were constantly featured in Mayweather's very public lifestyle, providing exposure that extended beyond just music. Earl amassed an impressive list of collaborations rather than solo albums, working with prominent names like 50 Cent on tracks such as Double Up from the 2012 mixtape 5 Murder by Numbers, as well as Timbaland, Dr. Dre, Too Short, Black Rob, and the Pussycat Dolls. Endorsements from Dr. Dre and Timbaland helped secure his label deal, and he released material like the remix to Carrie Hilson's Get Your Money Up and numerous freestyles over popular beats that showcased his flow and street authenticity. In 2008, Earl and Stephanie married, and from the outside looking in, they appeared to be the epitome of a Hollywood power couple, two attractive, talented individuals who had found success in their respective fields while supporting each other's ambitions and professional goals. They even appeared together in Floyd Mayweather's 2013 Showtime documentary 30 Days in May, which chronicled the boxer's preparation for a fight and offered viewers intimate glimpses into his personal circle, portraying Earl and Stephanie as a glamorous couple living the dream that so many aspiring entertainers could only fantasize about achieving. But beneath the surface of Instagram photos and red carpet appearances, Stephanie's relationship was becoming increasingly fractured under the weight of suspicion, jealousy, and accusations that would ultimately prove fatal. Around 2012, Earl began accusing Stephanie of infidelity with multiple entertainers, with his fixation particularly focused on an alleged affair with R&B singer Trey Songz, born Tremaine Alden Neverson. People close to the couple revealed that these allegations crushed Earl and led to a separation that lasted approximately a year, during which time the rapper reportedly spiraled into an emotional state that friends described as devastated and obsessive. He was crushed and never got over it, one source told media outlets, pointing to a deep emotional turmoil that was festering beneath the surface, growing more toxic with each passing day, despite the couple's eventual attempts to reconcile. Despite the separation, Earl and Stephanie reconciled by 2013 or early 2014, with Stephanie expressing genuine hope and optimism about their future in conversations with friends and family members who desperately wanted to believe that the worst was behind them forever.
Everyone has their problems, but if you're asking if anyone knew that, something would come to this, hell no. It was the last of what anybody would have thought. I thought it was a lie when I got the phone call.
Did she in recent days say anything that worried you?
Yeah, we share, life circumstances and what we're going through. And her life hasn't necessarily been rosy as of late, but I don't think, I know that I didn't think it was going to come to this.
Friends like Eva Marksell Pigford, who had known Stephanie since their teenage years, insisted there were no visible signs of physical violence in the relationship, describing what seemed like typical marital ups and downs, but nothing that would have predicted the horror that was coming. Burrell Wilkes, who claimed to be Earl's best friend and life coach, echoed this sentiment, calling the upcoming incident unimaginable and describing Earl as a very caring and sharing gentleman who showed no violent tendencies whatsoever in the years they had known him closely. But here's what nobody seemed to fully grasp at the time. Earl Hayes had never truly recovered from the suspicions that had poisoned his mind back in 2012. The allegations of infidelity, whether true or imagined, had burrowed deep into his psyche like a parasite, feeding on his insecurities and growing stronger with each passing day, even as he and Stephanie attempted to rebuild what had been broken between them. The reconciliation, as hopeful as it might have appeared from the outside, was built on a foundation of unresolved trauma, festering resentment, and a jealousy so consuming that it would ultimately demand the highest possible price that anyone could pay. Just days before the tragedy, Stephanie had told family members that things were improving, that she felt optimistic about the direction their marriage was heading, that maybe they had finally turned a corner and could move forward together toward the future they had once dreamed about when they first fell in love.
Tried to borrow some money, but when I asked, no one had it. When I put this double barrel on your nose like sunglasses and tell you to run your shit, you better just unask it, cause I'm gonna squeeze the trigger, then I'm going.
The couple was living in a luxury apartment complex called the Palazzo in the Fairfax district of Los Angeles, specifically in the 300 block of Hauser Boulevard at the Park La Brea complex, a location frequently populated by celebrities and entertainment industry professionals who valued the area's upscale amenities and proximity to the heart of Hollywood. And on the morning of December 8, 2014, everything that had been building beneath the surface would finally erupt in the most devastating way imaginable for everyone involved. The sun had barely begun to rise over Los Angeles on that December morning when Earl Hayes picked up his phone and initiated a FaceTime call with Floyd Mayweather around 7 in the morning, reaching out to the man he considered not just his boss and mentor, but his brother, perhaps looking for some kind of intervention or validation for what was churning in his mind darkly.
I was sitting with Melissa Brim. My best friend called me on FaceTime. We was talking a little bit. He put Stephanie on the phone. I talked to her, and I could tell that they both were. It looked like they both were doing drugs and drinking real heavy. I could tell they'd been up all night. They was talking. I hear the bathwater running.
According to multiple reports, Earl was in a state of absolute rage during this call, explicitly telling Mayweather that he intended to kill Stephanie due to her alleged infidelity, the accusations that had haunted him for years finally reaching a point where his mind convinced him that violence was the only possible resolution. Mayweather, described as treating Earl like a brother, attempted desperately to calm him down, his voice pleading through the phone screen as he urged Earl against violence and suggested that he should get a divorce or leave the relationship peacefully rather than doing something he could never take back or undo. But Earl was beyond reason at this point, his judgment clouded by whatever substances he and Stephanie had allegedly consumed throughout the night, and his emotions twisted by years of unresolved suspicion and jealousy that had consumed him completely. Mayweather then heard something that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Heated arguments between Earl and Stephanie, followed by Stephanie's screams piercing through the phone speaker, a sudden silence that felt like the world holding its breath, and then the thunderous crack of gunshots echoing through the device.
And then he reached down and put out a gun. I said, man, what are you doing with that gun? He started shooting.
Approximately 10 shots were fired at Stephanie, each bullet tearing through her body with devastating effect, striking her head, torso, and legs as Earl ensured there would be no chance of survival, no opportunity for medical intervention to save the woman he claimed to love but could no longer bear to live without controlling completely. Earl briefly returns to the FaceTime screen, informing Mayweather with chilling calmness that he had killed Stephanie and now intended to end his own life, followed by another gunshot that Mayweather heard through the phone as Earl turned the weapon on himself, placing it against his head and pulling the trigger one final time without hesitation.
And then he shot her, and then he put the gun to his head. And that's what it was. Then I had to bury my best friend.
Neighbors in the 600-unit complex, alerted by Stephanie's screams in the initial barrage of gunfire, immediately called 911 around 7:30 in the morning.
We received a radio call of several shots being fired inside the location with a woman screaming. So the officers responded immediately. We were able to contact the person who made that phone call, get some additional information, and they made a decision at that point to make entry into the location.
LAPD officers arrived promptly at the 300 block of Hauser Boulevard, but upon approaching the locked bedroom door,
the man living here in an apartment just beyond this gate here in the Palazzo Apartments. This all unfolded, you can see from Sky 5 around 7:30 this morning, a neighbor calling 911 after hearing gunshots and screaming from a woman in a next door apartment. We're told the initial call said that as many as 10 shots were heard. Patrol officers arrived on scene. They entered the apartment. They found a back bedroom door closed, and when they tried to enter that back door, that's when they heard an additional 2 shots. The SWAT team was called in. They came in as a precaution, and when they finally entered the apartment, they found a man and woman dead from gunshot wounds.
This prompted them to classify the situation as a barricade and summon a SWAT team for tactical entry, escalating what was already a horrific situation into something that would cause temporary evacuations of the building and significant traffic disruptions throughout the area as law enforcement established a perimeter and prepared for the worst-case scenario they could encounter.
This was very disruptive this morning for the morning commute. Part of Hauser was shut down while this all unfolded, and neighbors on the first 3 floors of this complex, this is a very big complex, some 600 units, were evacuated this morning. Again, we are waiting on the coroner to arrive here, and we are also waiting more information.
When SWAT finally breached the door, they discovered both bodies in the bathroom. Stephanie, who had been shot multiple times with wounds to her head, torso, and legs, possibly in the bathtub where she may have been trying to escape or take refuge, and Earl with a self-inflicted gunshot wound to his head. Both were pronounced dead at the scene by paramedics. Their lives ended in a moment of violence that seemed impossible to reconcile with the glamorous couple who had smiled for cameras just months earlier in happier times. The LAPD's initial assessment at the scene pointed immediately to what happened, a classification that would be confirmed within days through evidence, including the firearm's position, ballistic analysis, and the complete absence of any other suspects or forced entry. On December 10, 2014, the department issued a news release stating, "Investigators have determined that Earl killed his wife Stephanie in their home and then took his own life." Autopsies were conducted by the LA County Coroner's Office, with Assistant Chief Ed Winter noting Stephanie's multiple wounds and the need for toxicology screenings, though no public results were ever released beyond the confirmed gunshot causes of death. Police sought to interview Mayweather as a witness, given his unprecedented real-time involvement via FaceTime, but no charges arose because his role was solely that of a horrified witness who had tried and failed to talk his friend down from the edge of this terrible decision. The entertainment world reacted with absolute shock and devastation to the news. Trey Songz, the man at the center of Earl's jealous obsession, posted a tribute on Twitter on December 9, 2014, "R.I.P. baby girl. Once an angel on earth, now watching over us from heaven. You'll be missed but never forgotten. Love." Notably using the term baby girl, but carefully avoiding any direct reference to the affair allegations that had contributed to this tragedy. Rihanna shared an Instagram post with a photo of Stephanie and the simple caption, "R.I.P. Stephanie," while Chris Brown posted on Instagram recalling Stephanie as always the coolest person from their tour collaborations. VH1 released a statement expressing deep sorrow. "We are incredibly saddened to hear about the passing of Stephanie Mosley, who was a big part of the Hit the Floor family. Unfortunately, we will not be commenting further as we would like to keep details private out of respect to all parties involved. Our hearts and prayers go out to her family and friends." A GoFundMe memorial fund was established by Stephanie's Hit the Floor colleagues, ultimately raising over $8,700 for her family as the entertainment community rallied to support those left behind to pick up the pieces of this senseless tragedy and honor her memory. What makes this tragedy even more haunting is the complete disconnect between Earl's public persona and his private demons lurking within. Friends, colleagues, and even his own life coach insisted they had never seen any signs of violence, never witnessed behavior that would suggest he was capable of such brutality. But that's often how these stories unfold, isn't it? The monster doesn't always show its face until the moment it decides to strike, hiding behind smiles and social media posts and public declarations of love, while something dark and twisted grows in the shadows, feeding on jealousy and suspicion until it becomes too powerful to control or contain. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this one.